May I request everyone who are all of the participants who are in the meeting, Zoom meeting, to please stay on mute, especially when there is a presentation going on and discussions. Good morning, everyone. I am Director Clemente Diwas of the Students Affairs Office, Caloocan, welcoming you all to this year's orientation and webinar on gender-related laws. To formally start this program, may I call on Professor Edelina Baldoza, Advisor, International Students Office of the Students Affairs Office, Manila, to lead us in the invocation to be followed immediately by the singing of the Philippine National Anthem.
Our Lord and our God, we thank you for gathering us today as one family, the family of the University of the East. To the administrators, faculty members, and employees, and to the students, especially the freshmen participating in this occasion, may you send your spirit of love and wisdom. Good God, you entrusted us with great responsibilities. There is full of confusion and insecurities in the world and in ourselves. Our nation is striving for economic stability and moral integrity. For all of this, please guide us, O Lord, as we offer ourselves in your service and for the service of our country and our communities. We know, O Lord, that you are the source of all justice. So please help us to be just in our dealing with one another, particularly in our respect for one's gendered identity and sexual orientation. Both the natural law and the civil law uphold the equal dignity of every person. May this moral principle be the value that prevail in our society today and not the culture of shaming and discrimination. Grant us the virtues of understanding and humility to accept one another's individuality. With your guidance, O Lord, please guide us to improve ourselves by strengthening the working relationship among us. And in doing so, may we in turn help in improving not only the school where we belong, but our society and the world as a whole. Merciful God, we know that it is not within our power that we could accomplish all of this. We believe that it is only through your kindness that we could hope for a better world, attain a progressive and healthy nation, and maintain gender equality in the society. This we ask for the greater glory of your name and for the good of our academic community. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Professor Baldoza. Again, reminder, please. It is my pleasure to inform you all, especially our dear students, that we have been holding this orientation and webinar on gender-related laws for 3 years already, pursuant to CHED Memorandum Number 1, series of 2015. More importantly, we believe that holding this orientation and webinar is the best way of arming you, our dear students, with information which you will need to protect yourselves against gender-based violence and harassment. We have invited a very knowledgeable resource speaker to do the discussion. So I hope that you listen carefully and intently to the discussions. Learn and don't be shy to ask questions during the open forum. Thank you. Before I call on our very able resource speaker, may I direct your attention first to the slides flashed on your screen right now. The first slide is how to send your questions, which will be answered after the presentation. To send your questions, just follow these steps. Open a web browser, type the address, HTTPS, etc. It's on the screen. And then press enter to search the page or scan the QR code on your screen. Fill out the Google form question and answer form, then click submit. You will also need to submit your evaluation of the activity, as this will be the basis of your attendance. To evaluate, just follow these steps. Again, open a web browser, type the address or the link, press enter to search the page or scan the QR code on your screen, fill out the Google form, activity evaluation form, then click submit. Our resource speaker for this morning's orientation and webinar is currently the college secretary and a faculty member of the UE College of Law. Our dear students, it is my pleasure to give you our colleague and friend, attorney, Professor Jerel Rondez Layog. Let us all give her a big round of virtual applause.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak for today's lecture. And thank you so much, Director Clem Diwas and Director Mercy Candelaria and the staff for doing this and for giving me the opportunity to deliver this wonderful laws. Now, so before I start, I would really appreciate if everyone, if it is possible to open your cameras, because it's really hard to deliver a lecture without seeing the reactions of the students. So please, if you can open your camera, if you have the means, your data is available, I would really, really appreciate it. Let me see. Perhaps they are not in their classrooms or rooms. That's why they are not opening the cameras. I'd like to see the beautiful and handsome faces of the Gen Zs. Diba? I am a millennial, so I want, okay, thank you so much for opening your cameras. All right. Can I share my slide? Let's start. Okay, so I know that this lecture is for gender-related laws. So you might be thinking that there will be several laws which will be discussed today, but I was informed that I have to focus on one law, but I added a new law, which is the Bawal Bastos Act. But my lecture would focus primarily on the Magna Carta of women. Okay. Okay, I will now share my screen. By the way, am I audible? Am I clear at your end? You can just feel free to comment. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you, Migs. Thank you. I am now sharing my screen. Can you all see it? Let me see the reactions. All right. Thank you. All right, so disclaimer muna tayo. So pictures used in this presentation are not owned, of course, by the lecturer. I got it from Google and different government agency websites. So they're being utilized for educational purposes and under the fair use policy. Thank you. Let us proceed. As I have told you, the first law that I am going to discuss is about the Magna Carta of Women, or Republic Act number 9710, which was effective on August 14, 2009. Okay. So here are the contents for the lecture. First, we will define what is Magna Carta of Women, and we will know what is women discrimination, the rights guaranteed. This law include women, Filipino women living abroad, the role of the state and the responsibilities of the government agencies, and of course, the violators. That's why we have this law. Unti-unti nang nawawala ang mga tao sa camera. Okay. Next slide. Okay. What is Magna Carta of Women? Okay. So it is a comprehensive women's human rights law that seeks to eliminate discrimination against women by recognizing, protecting, fulfilling, and promoting the rights of Filipino women, especially those in marginalized sectors. So when we speak of marginalized, the law refers marginalized sectors to the disadvantaged or the vulnerable persons, no, or groups who are mostly living in poverty and have little or no access to land and other resources, basic economic and social services such as healthcare, education, water and sanitation, employment and livelihood, opportunities for housing, social security, social physical infrastructure, and justice systems, basically access to justice. So these include, but not limited to, the following groups or sectors, no? The fisher folk, the urban poor, the senior citizens, the persons with disabilities, the IPs, the indigenous peoples, the children, the solo parents. Okay, so those workers also in the formal economy, the migrant workers. Okay. Next slide. So it also promotes women empowerment. This law promotes women empowerment, calls for equal opportunities for men and women, and ensures equal access and resources and to the development results and outcome in the country. So for those of you right now who may think of the inequality between opportunities of men and women, you may comment, no? So that we'll have an interactive lecture. So if you have any knowledge about inequality between men and women when it comes to education, opportunities, employment, you can just type it in the comment section, and we will address that later if you would like that issue to be addressed, no? Okay, women empowerment. About women empowerment. So this refers to a provision, the accessibility of opportunities, services, and observance of human rights which enable women to actively participate and contribute to the political, economic, social, and cultural development of the nation, as well as to those which shall provide them equal access to ownership, management, and control of production and of the material, and the informational resources and benefits of the family, community, and the society. Okay, next slide. We should know what is discrimination against women provided in this law. So first, any gender-based distinction, exclusion, restriction, which has an effect or purpose of impairing or nullifying the recognition, employment, or exercise by women, irrespective of their marital status, or the basis of equality of men and women, of human rights and fundamental freedoms in the political, economic, social, cultural, civil, and any other field. Because before, women are not allowed. I don't know if you have, if you've read about this, that women before are not allowed to vote, no? So they cannot exercise their political and civil rights, the right to vote and the right to be voted upon, no? Okay. Next, any act or omission. When we say omission, it's actually an opposite of act, which is not doing something required by law. Okay, so that includes the law, the policy, administrative measure, or or practice that directly or indirectly excludes or restricts women in the recognition and promotion of their rights and their access to enjoyment of opportunities, benefits, and privileges. The next one, a measure or practice of general application that fails to provide for mechanisms to offset and address sex or gender-based disadvantages or limitations of women, as a result of which women are denied or restricted in the recognition and protection of their rights and their access to and enjoyment of opportunities, benefits, privileges, or women more than men are shown to have suffered greater adverse effects of those measures or practices. For instance, which will later on elaborate. Now, for instance of inequality when it comes to employment, if the woman is not married, or if the woman got pregnant, he will be dismissed from work or service. Okay, discrimination compounded by or intersecting with other grounds, status, or condition, such as ethnicity or ethnicity, age, poverty, or religion. Okay, so what are the rights guaranteed? All the rights guaranteed under the Philippine Constitution. And when it comes to Philippine Constitution, you may look into Article 3, the Bill of Rights. It's very popular when it comes to the rights of the Filipino citizens, and those rights recognized under international instruments duly signed and ratified by the Philippines in consonance with the Philippine laws shall be the rights of women under the Magna Carta of Women. So for example of an international instrument, we have the CEDAW, which is the Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women. So that was signed into law and ratified by the Philippines. In fact, the first ASEAN country who ratified the CEDAW. Okay. So let us now proceed to the specific rights, though not all, provided by the Magna Carta of Women. So elimination of all forms of violence, including those committed by the state. So it's not just a private individual or an agency. The state can also be a violator of this law. So you have to remember that. Okay, so very common violence against women and their children, interrelated laws na kasi we have Magna Carta. When it comes to violence, there is a more elaborative law when it comes to violence against women. For example, the VAUSI. You may have heard about the VAUSI, wherein the women or their children are subjected to abuse, not just physical abuse, but it also includes economic abuse as well. Okay, so this includes the incremental increase in the recruitment and training of women in the government services that cater to women victims of gender-related offenses. So it also ensures mandatory training on human rights and gender sensitivity to all government personnel involved in the protection defense of women against gender-based violence, and mandate the local government units to establish what we call the Violence Against Women Desk in every barangay to address the violence in women's cases. So in your barangay, be a responsible resident there. You may check if they have the this Violence Against Women Desk. So if they're, kapitan, bago kita iboto, wala naman. Diba? Bakit wala tayong women's desk or child's desk in the barangay? Okay? Next. Protection, security in times of disaster and calamities and other crises. So especially in all phases of relief, recovery, rehabilitation, construction efforts, including protection from sexual exploitation and other sexual and gender-based violence. So, okay, women are protected from, have the right to be protected in terms of calamities and disasters and other crises that may have come upon them. Okay, next. Equal treatment before the law. Okay, equal treatment. No, I skipped something. Okay, let's have this muna. Participation and representation. Participation where? Including undertaking temporary special measures and affirmative actions to accelerate, ensure, women's equitable participation and presentation in the third level service, development councils and planning bodies, political parties, international bodies, and private sector. So example of third level service, like women, if qualified, should be appointed such as executive directors or director 4 in the civil service. In the development skills planning, we have women who are now also appointed in the as heads of the executive departments. So women are not discriminated, and the law protects them from that. So it's because you're a woman, oh no, you can't discharge the duties of being the head of the executive, you can't do this, you can't do that because you're a woman and then you got pregnant and blah blah blah. Okay, so this law provides women protection from excluding them from participating and be a representative in these 3 areas. Okay, next slide. The equal treatment before the law. Equal treatment. We all have that, men and women, no? Equal treatment before the law. Okay, now this includes the state's review and necessary amendment or repeal of existing laws that are discriminatory to women. Okay, next. Equal access and elimination of discrimination against women in education, scholarships, and trainings. Before, there have been cases where students who are out of wedlock and then they got pregnant and then the school dismissed her. Okay, so the private, the Magna Carta of Women protects those women who got pregnant, for example, the students, from being denied entry or admission to the school. Okay. Now, what else? So this includes revising of educational materials and curricula to remove gender stereotypes and images and outlawing the expulsion, non-readmission, okay, prohibiting enrollment and other related discrimination against women students and faculty, including the faculty, okay? Faculty due to pregnancy outside marriage. Because before, if you're, there have been cases where students or faculty are not given the equal opportunities afforded to men simply because they are women, okay? When it comes to benefits, men have more benefits than women, okay? So these are eliminated. Next, equal participation in sports. So by the way, you know her, right? Sino ang hindi nakakakilala sa kanya at aking kukurutin? Pwede ba? Violence. Okay. Oh. Can you answer? Do you know the woman? Let me, how do I check the chat? Oh, no one is participating. You don't know her? Anyone? Come on. Don't be shy.
Heidelin Diaz po.
Yes, very good. Si Heidelin Diaz. Okay, and what do you know about her? Oh, nagkakagulo sa spelling tayo sa chat. Ano ba ang correct spelling ng Heidelin? Gold medalist. Where? May pajika si Director Clem later. Director Clem. Where? Weightlifting, yes.
Olympics.
Tokyo Olympics. Okay, very good. Okay, now equal participation in sports, because again, women before are being discriminated that they can't do this, they can't do that. But equal participation in sports means that whatever sport that women can do, of course, women should have also the opportunity to express themselves through sports. Okay, so just because they are women, they don't seem to have the capabilities to do those sports, which have been where men are, exercising for more than centuries na. Okay. Sino ba to? Okay. Okay, next. Next, right, we have the non-discrimination in employment in the field of military, police, and other similar services. Okay, so before, well, the number, when it comes to figures, the men really outnumbered those who are in the field of military, police, and other similar services. But right now, women are given or afforded equal rights, such as men, in the field of military, police, and other similar services. Kasi tayo mga babae naman, we as women, if we can't do this, hindi naman tayo pipilit eh. But the thing is, we have to be afforded and given the equal opportunity to participate. All right? Next. Yan. Non-discriminatory and non-derogatory portrayal of women in the media and film. Who's your favorite Darna? Sige nga. Or would you like to be a Valentina? Sige. Answer. Don't be shy. I know na. They are not responding because they are very diligent in their studies. They don't have any time to watch TV. That's why wala silang alam tungkol sa palabas na ito. Okay. Or is there anyone who can give me, aside from the role of Darna, who else do you know about a woman portraying to be a superhero? Anyone? Wala. Okay. Ayan. Yes, Filipino tayo. Wonder Woman, si Gal Gadot. Sino pa? Filipino, wala na din ako maisip eh. Pasok ba si Volta? Thumbs up ba? Superhero ba si Volta? Or baka hindi nyo kilala si Volta? Okay, so, on the right side, or on the rightmost picture, do you know the actor portraying the role of Darna? Because we know in the left, si Jane. On the center, si Marian Rivera. Ayan, Vilma Santos. Super twins. Sino ang nakakakilala sa Valentina ni Marian Rivera? I don't recognize her. Sino ang actor na to? Anyone? Si Iwamoto. Ano? Si Iwamoto pala to. Okay. So, non-discriminatory and non-derogatory portrayal of women in media and in film. This is to raise consciousness of the general public in recognizing the dignity of women and the role and contribution of women in the family, community, and the society through the strategic use of mass media. Okay, next. Comprehensive health services and health information and education. So this covers all stages of women's life cycle, and which addresses the major causes of women's mortality and morbidity, including access to, among others, maternal care, responsible, ethical, legal, and safe and effective methods of family planning, and encouraging healthy lifestyle activities to prevent diseases. All right, next. By the way, let me just add. So, in this slide, aside from what we have, the maternity leave for women, we also have a special leave benefits of for 2 months. That's for 2 months with full pay yon for women who are who undergo surgery because of gynecological disorders. Okay, so aside from that, so ang daming benefits when it comes to us, women. Okay, equal rights in all matters relating to marriage and family relations. So, the state shall ensure that the same rights of women and men to enter into and leave marriages. Okay? Mag-aasawa, pwede ding umalis, sa pag-aasawa. Before, believe it or not, women have no say. It's always the husband who has the say in everything. All right. So if the husband, if the male wants to marry you, then you have no choice. Especially if your father, no, would approve, no, mga arranged marriages. I was even shocked, no, when I learned the history about the inequalities of women centuries back. So, freely choose a spouse. Now you can choose. No, the problem is kung pipiliin ka din, di ba? Ibang problema naman yon. But you are free to choose who to marry. Okay, who to love, who to marry. Okay, decide on the number and spacing of their children. So you can't be forced. Gusto ko. Every year, meron tayong anak. Hello, sabi ni Attorney Rondes, Magna Carta. Hello, is that how Gen Z would invoke right now? Hello, we have Magna Carta of women, no? Kindly take a look and read it so that you can't force me to bear you a child every year, okay? So you have that right to decide on the number and the spacing of the children. So you also have the right to enjoy personal rights, including choice of profession. So you can't be, you are not forbidden to choose what profession you would like to exercise. So your husband can't say that, oh, you can't be a lawyer or you can't be a teacher. Okay, I'm speechless. Hindi pwede. Okay, hindi pwede. But of course, there are exceptions to that. You can't choose a profession which are unlawful. Okay, you can't choose profession which will endanger the family or endanger the health or security of your child. Okay, so there might be instances where the husband has to say, no, has a say rather. Okay, but the general rule is that in exercising profession, you are free to choose what kind of profession you'd like to enter into the future. No. Speaking of which, and I will tell you later on, so please, no, for those who want to become lawyers in the future, I will invite you later on. I will tell you something about the UE College of Law. Okay, next. Let's go with the enumeration. The Magna Carta of Women also guarantees the civil, political, and economic rights in the marginalized sectors, particularly their right to food security and resources for food production, including equal rights in the titling of land and issuance of stewardship contracts and patents. So before, all lands, no, dapat nakapangalan sa husband. It's a no-no. Women now, no, matagal na din naman na, women now have the right to be a registered owner of a land. No, it doesn't have to be, you don't even have to include the name of the husband. No, it doesn't have to be always the husband who must be the registered owner. The name appearing in the transfer certificate of title or original certificate of title, you have the right to be named. No, if you own a property, you can title it, you can register it under your name. You're not prohibited anymore, or you are not discriminated just because you are a woman. Okay, next, localized, accessible, secure, and affordable housing. So the government, no, if you don't know, the government has these several local and socialized housing projects. No, some of you may have benefited by these government programs. For instance, the rec sale, the community mortgage program. You may or may not have heard about it, but there are housing programs provided by the government for the marginalized sector. So just because you don't have a husband, or just because you're living as a solo parent, you don't have to be you don't qualify as a beneficiary anymore. No. Regardless, if you're a solo parent, you are qualified as long as you meet the qualifications of the socialized housing projects. You are allowed to be a beneficiary. You can apply, no? And if you're denied, it should not be the basis that because you're a woman. Okay. Decent work standards. Babae ka naman, dyan ka na lang sa gilid-gilid. No. So kung anong work mo, you should be given a decent work standards. Proper. We are not talking about luxurious office. We are not talking about there should be a table where food is always available. No. The law only requires decent work standards. Okay, enjoyment of livelihood, credit, capital, and technology. We also have access to information, regarding the policies on women, including programs, projects, and funding outlays that affect them. So if you are living, for instance, in Quezon City, you can go to the LGU, where the records or repository of the city ordinances are available. Now you can search if there are ordinance affecting women, no, providing rights for women in Quezon City, no. And what else? Social protection. We also have recognition and preservation of cultural identity and integrity, provided that these cultural systems and practices are not discriminatory to women. We also have protection of girl children against all forms of discrimination in education, health, and nutrition, and skills development. We also have protection on women senior citizens. Okay. Let's go now to the next slide. Who is responsible? The state. Who is the state? Diba? The government are the actors. Government agencies, are the actors of the state. Okay? So the government is tasked to refrain from discriminating against women and violating their rights, protect women against discrimination and from violation of their rights by private corporations, entities, and individuals, promote and fulfill the rights of women in all spheres, including their rights to substantive equality and non-discrimination. All right, next slide. Okay, penalties for violators. So we have three categories. So if the violation is committed by the government agency, because as I have said at the outset of this lecture, it's not just about the private individuals who will be violators, but also the government agency or the actors in the government agency, no? Including government-owned and controlled corporations and local government units. The person directly responsible for the violation, again, the person directly responsible for the violation, as well as the head, okay, as well as the head of the agency or local chief executive shall be held liable under the Magna Carta of Women. Okay, the sanctions under administrative law, civil service, and other appropriate laws shall be recommended by the Commission of Human Rights to the Civil Service Commission and the Department of Interior and Local Government. Next, so kanina, government agency and GOCCs and LGUs, local government units. Ngayon naman, perpetrated by the agents of the state. Okay. In cases where violence has been proven to be perpetrated by the agents of the state, such shall be considered aggravating offenses with corresponding penalties depending on the severity of the offenses. So we speak about the qualified violator. Qualified in a sense na, since you should be the one who should always protect women from discrimination and all forms of violence, but then, ikaw, no, you committed a violation under the Magna Carta of women, the penalty is higher, right? The penalty is higher. Okay. Anyone would like to speak? Parang I hear a noise. Let me check. Okay, next. If the violation is committed by a private entity or individual, the person directly responsible for the violation shall be liable to pay damages. So further, the offended party can also pursue other remedies available under the law and can invoke any of the provisions existing laws, especially those that protect the rights of women. All right. Do you have any questions before I proceed with another law? Any questions? Free to jump in. Don't be shy. Dr. Rhea, I think Gen Zs are very shy, no?
Baka they're reserving it for the open forum.
Okay. Let me check the chat. I can't see the button. Reserving for the open forum, huh? All right. So those are the salient features of the Magna Carta of women. So if you have any questions, if you would like to interact, no, if you're not shy, then you can ask me directly, okay? Or you can just type it in the comment section if you're too shy about to ask. All right. Ito, papunta pa lang tayo sa ano, ha? Using the words of Judy Santa Maria. Papunta pa lang tayo sa exciting part. Okay. For the next law, which is the bawal pala ito. Okay. Ayun, nakita ko na yung chat. We have 221 participants and yet no one is interacting. They are very shy. Okay. Bawal Bastos Law or Safe Spaces Act. Republic Act number 11313, just effective April 17, 2019. Right. So the law aims to ensure the individual's sense of personal space and public safety. Now, that is very important point. Individual's sense of personal space. Why am I emphasizing that? Because it is not the POV. Oh, I'm using your word. It's not the POV of anyone else, but it's your own sense of personal space that is being violated and harassed. Okay? So in a nutshell, the law focuses on gender-based sexual harassment in public areas, such as streets, privately owned spaces open to the public, public utility vehicles, among others. It also includes protection even to cyberspace, and provides prohibited acts and their corresponding penalties. When I speak of cyberspace, very common online, So will you be subjected? Will you be liable if you commit sexual harassment online? Of course, we have Safe Spaces Act for that. So listen very carefully, as sometimes when we are so happy or when we are so angry, we tend not to think before we post or before we comment, or before we act on something. So it is important for you to know this law, because I have heard stories, not just in our school, but I have heard stories from other schools that there are commissions on sexual harassment, So please be very, very careful, as not only the faculty or the staff or the employees in the university which may be held liable, but also you, okay, estudyante, you may be held liable under this law. Okay, next slide. Policy. The state value the dignity of every human person. Okay, dignity. Next, guarantee full respect for human rights. It also wants to recognize the role of women in nation building and ensure the fundamentally equality before the law. Recognizes that both men and women have equality, security, and safety, not only in private, but also on the streets, public spaces, online, workplaces, and educational and training institutions. So, gender-based, lahat na, kasama na dito men and women. Okay, it's not only for women. Okay, next, let's define the terms, before we elaborate on to the next slides. Catcalling refers to unwanted remarks directed towards a person, commonly done in the form of wolf whistling or misogynistic, transphobic, homophobic, and sexist slurs. Example ng catcalling nga dyan. Wala ba? Director Clem, pwede bang kayo na?
Hindi yata marunong mag-sumipol.
Yung wolf whistling.
Is that a form of
Woo!
O kaya,
Uh, sino ang
sipol.
ha?
Sipol din is a form of
Yes.
catcall.
Yes, sipol din, like,
Ganon.
diba? Tapos kung may kurba pa yung katawan,
Wow. Ganon.
o, diba? Depende sa kurba. Okay. Depende yung sipol sa kurba eh, no? Kung coke, in ka eh. So, diretso lang. Grabe na talaga, di ba? So, mas ma-open pa pala doon, no? Kaysa doon sa may pag-ganon. Anyways, moving forward, catcalling, ha? Oh, it's included under the Bawal Bastos Law. Okay, next definition. Gender-based online sexual harassment refers to an online conduct targeted at a particular person that causes or likely to cause another mental, emotional, or psychological distress and fear of personal safety. Sexual harassment acts includes unwanted sexual remarks and comments, threats, uploading or sharing of one's photos without the consent, or video and audio recordings, cyber stalking, and online identity theft. Next, we also would like to define the gender identity and or expression. It refers to the personal sense of identity as characterized, among others, by manner of clothing, inclination, and behavior in relation to masculine or feminine conventions. A person may have a male or female identity with psychological characteristics of an opposite sex, in which case this person is considered transgender. Okay, let's define what public spaces mean. It refers to streets, alleys, public parks, schools, buildings, malls, bars, restaurants, transportation terminals, public markets, spaces used as evacuation centers, government offices, public utility vehicles, as well as private vehicles covered by app-based transport network services and other recreational spaces such as, but not limited to, cinema halls, theaters, and spas. Okay, ano ba ito, private vehicles covered by app-based transport network services. We have in the Philippines Grab. All right, so any sexual harassment committed in Grab is also included in this law. Okay, next, stalking. No, stalking refers to conduct directed at a person involving the repeated, that is the requirement, no, repeated visual or physical proximity. Because if not repeated, then that's not stalking at all. Non-consensual communication or a combination thereof that cause or will likely cause a person to fear for one's own safety or the safety of others, or to suffer emotional distress. Okay, let's proceed to protected spaces. So there are four. Before, in the anti-sexual harassment law, these spaces are only limited to workplace, and educational and training institutions. But now everywhere, okay, streets, public places, online. That's very timely because we are doing online, no? We are gearing towards full online, and then lectures are conducted online, such as this one. All right, so covered na siya. Streets and public spaces. Okay. The crimes of gender-based streets and public spaces sexual harassment are committed through any unwanted and uninvited sexual actions or remarks against a person, regardless of the motive, regardless kung anong motibo mo for committing such action or remarks. Gender-based streets and public spaces sexual harassment includes catcalling, wolf whistling, unwanted invitations, misogynistic, transphobic, homophobic, and sexist slurs, persistent, uninvited comments or gestures on a person's appearance, unwanted gestures, relentless requests for personal details, statement of sexual comments and suggestions, public masturbation or flashing of private parts, groping, or any advances, whether verbal or physical, that is unwanted and has threatened one's sense of personal space and physical safety, and committed in public spaces such as alleys. Okay, ito, may requirement dito, ito. Ay, sorry. Unwanted eh. So, when you say, kung wanted naman, di walang violation. Okay? Because the law requires unwanted and has threatened one's sense of personal space and physical safety. Because then again, I told you earlier, it is the ensuring about the individual's personal space, no? Individual's personal, if she feels that she's not harassed, or if she feels, if he understood the person, that the humor of the person in giving comments towards her, then there is no violation. So there is a requirement that it should be unwanted and has threatened one's sense of personal space and physical safety. Okay. What else? Gender-based sexual harassment in restaurants, cafes, bars, clubs, resorts, no, literally like everywhere. No, when it comes to public spaces, streets, and privately owned areas open to the public. No? Let's go with the online. Online use of information communications technology in terrorizing, intimidating victims through physical, psychological, and emotional threats. Unwanted sexual, misogynistic, transphobic, homophobic, sexist remarks and comments online, whether publicly or through direct and private messages. Sabihin nila, I am safe. That is not, wala sa GC namin, wala hindi sa comment or hindi sa post on the wall. But remember, the law also includes direct and private messages. Okay, invasion of victims' privacy through cyber stalking and incessant, walang tigil, incessant messaging, uploading of and sharing without the consent of the victim, any form of media that contains photos, voice, or video with sexual content, any unauthorized recording and sharing of any victim's photos, videos, or any information online, impersonating identities of victims online, or posting lies about the victims to harm their reputation, or filing false abuse reports to online platforms to silence the victim. So, as you can see, in the Facebook, there's so many people commenting, bad mouthing, no, almost everyone, no, which you will be shocked because, you know, how can they say those things? They don't even know the person personally, right? So you have to be very, very careful. Kasi isang pagkakamali mo lang kung nakaligtas ka man if you have been spared for so many days. And now that you are informed that these actions, no, are prohibited under the Safe Spaces Act, please be more careful, no? Think before you act, think before you post, think before you comment, all right? Next, workplace. Act or series of acts involving any unwelcome sexual advances, request or demand for sexual favors, or any act of sexual nature, whether done verbally, physically, or through the use of technology, such as text messaging. Next, a conduct of sexual nature and a conduct based of sex affecting the dignity of a person, which is unwelcome, unreasonable, and offensive to the recipient, whether done verbally, physically, or through the use of technology. Okay, a conduct which is unwelcome and pervasive and creates an intimidating, hostile, or humiliating environment for the recipient, provided that the crime of gender-based sexual harassment may also be committed between peers. So not just boss and employee, so peers, between peers, you know, of equal status. Those committed to a superior officer by a subordinate, or a teacher by a student, or the trainer by the trainee. And last, information and communication system refers to a system generating, sending, receiving, storing, and other processing electronic data messages. Okay, that's really the definition of our computer nowadays. Okay, before, I am quite sure that you know that when it comes to promotion in the workplace environment, I'm not saying all the times, but there are abuses, no? There are abuses committed by the superior officers. Uy, gusto mo ma-promote, okay? Then they will ask for sexual favors, sexual advances for you to be promoted. Ikaw naman, you're in bad need of money, you're the member of your family got sick and you really need the money, no? For the promotion, it will really affect your life. Then pumayag ka, okay? Though unwanted for the for purposes of promotion. So that action is covered by this law. All right. Educational and training institution. So basically, those acts, no, which I have mentioned, happened in the educational and training institution. Okay. So the law also provides that when it comes to the schools, no, there will be duties of the heads. There will be a committee on decorum and investigation for all educational institutions, which shall address gender-based sexual harassment and online sexual harassment in accordance with the rules and procedure contained in the CODI. CODI yun, yung in short, Committee on Decorum and Investigation. So, why am I emphasizing the duties of the school heads? Because if they will act otherwise, or if they will not do anything about it, then they will be held liable. All right? So there will be a penalty in addition to the liability for committing the acts of harassment, blah, blah, blah. Ang magiging liability is that the non-implementation of their duty, there will be penal provisions, there will be fine or imprisonment, failure to act on the reported acts of gender-based committed in sexual institution. All right? So ano yung pwedeng nilang maging penalty? Pwedeng fine, okay? Fine, depending on the severity of the case. The range is 5,000 to 15,000. Okay? And what else? There will also be fined. I will just would like to highlight about the liabilities of the school, no? Since we are in this area. Okay, but right now, Dr. Clem, do we have CODI?
Yes, there are two separate CODIs for UE Caloocan and UE Manila. I happen to head the UE Caloocan committee, and I think Professor Edelina Baldosa heads the one in Manila.
All right, hindi tayo liable.
No.
Okay,
And of course,
we
members doon ang mga student council presidents natin.
Okay, so if you students have gender-based sexual violations, no? So it is important for you to protect your rights. If you want to seek redress or obtain relief from this unwanted sexual favors or sexual harassment, please do not hesitate to go to the committee on the decorum and investigation and file your case there. Do not fear that the professor or the head will retaliate, no? Fear for reprisal. Don't feel that way, because the law protects you. The law protects everyone from sexual harassment. All right. For the violators, common penal provisions. Makukulong ba? Of course. Merong pagkakakulong. Let me just so depending upon the violation, depending upon the severity, depending if it is qualified, who commits the act, okay? The imprisonment ranges from 1 day after 6 years, 6 months rather, okay? Yeah, 6 months. Gusto niyo bang makulong? Taas ang mga kamay ang gustong makulong. Sige nga. Wala. Oh, very good. Walang nagtataas ng kamay. Mahirap pag may nagtaas ng kamay. All right. So before I end, I am going to my last slide na. Before I end, I just want to tell you that, sometimes it's okay to be opinionated. It's okay to express the opinions, but you have to think of the repercussions of your acts later on, because cliche, but prevention is better than cure, no? hindi pwedeng tao lang ako, nagkamali ako. No, you are able person. You're be rational. Think before you post nga, ika nga. All right? So I hope that you behave the way you should behave. Okay? I hope that none of you here, hindi ko memorize yung pangalan, na nag-attend ng seminar will not commit any sexual violation or unwanted remarks, especially in Facebook. Kasi alam naman natin, sa group chat, merong traidor. Right? Merong traidor sa group chat. So please be very, very careful. Diba na may nag-trending? Diba? Okay, let's have an assessment nga. Sino ang naglabas ng screenshots sa nag-trending na mga vloggers? Alright? Sasabi ko sa inyo, meron at merong traidor sa GC. And for you not to be subjected or not to be held liable, refrain from doing those acts. Because those are things which, self-inflicted, committed by, self-inflicted, no? Self-inflicted siya. You yourself committed eh. Alright? Hindi naman dahil ginawa ng iba. Pero dahil alam mo, ikaw ang gumawa, ikaw ang nag-comment, ikaw ang nag-post. Alright? So please be very, very careful. Alright? So that ends my presentation. These are the resources that I have used. If you have any questions, you may jump in right away. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Attorney Rondes Layog, for that very informative and enlightening presentation and discussion. I have a feeling that after listening to the presentation and discussion, our students have lots of questions to ask. So again, here is how you can send your questions. Open a web browser, type the link or the address.
May nag-participate pala kanina, Director Clem. Sabi, wit-wiw! Oh, yan. Sexy!
Ano ba yun?
Hi, sexy!
Ano ba yun?
meron
Catcalling ba yun?
Yes, yung mga unwanted. Ganda with matching post. Woohoo! Ang pinakasikat is wit-wiw. Diba? Pero
Okay.
the question, Director Clem, is, what if sumipol pero si James Reid?
Again?
What if sumipol pero ang gwapo ng sumipol? Paano ba yon?
But if the girl does not find it offensive,
Yes.
she likes it, then okay lang siguro.
So, no, it's sad, but reality is, kapag pangit ang sumipol, manyak. Pero pag gwapo, okay lang. Ano ba?
Grabe.
Grabe ang discrimination. Grabe ang discrimination. Alright.
Okay.
So, just kidding. Okay, Director Clem.
Okay,
Ano yung
sige. Let's go to
WT?
that
Hindi ko maintindihan yung
Okay.
WT.
WT. With wave siguro din. So this is how you're going to send your questions. So it's on the screen. And then you should also don't forget to evaluate after, because you really need your evaluation, and that will be the basis of your attendance in this activity. Okay, so for the open forum, may I call on Mr. Antonio Postrado and Mr. Jason Parena of the Guidance, Counseling, and Career Services Office of UE Caloocan to facilitate this part of the program.
Thank you, Sir Clem. Thank you very much, Attorney Jerry Rondes Layog. No? Very interesting yung topic natin ngayon. No? But before we ask the questions from the audience, no, banggitin ko lang po muna yung mga ilang comments na binigay ng ating mga estudyanteng nag-pre-register last week. So may mga nagsabi lang na wala naman silang tanong, but I want to learn more about the gender sensitivity that we have nowadays. Another student mentioned about she was looking forward to know more about the gender-related laws. I just hope that webinar will leave impact and encourage the audiences about the good and the bad deeds related to gender. And yung huling comment is, I have no questions. so far, but I'm just signing to learn more about the topic to be discussed in the webinar, because I have friends who have experiencing inequality and such. No? So I want to make them more comfortable by equipping myself with knowledge about gender-related laws. Anyway, this program po hindi naman po nagtatapos lang dahil sa orientation natin. No? If you have some issues na na-encounter related to this, of course, you could always visit us no, sa guidance office and the student affairs office para matulungan po namin kayo. Sir Jason, may mga question po ba sa inyo?
Hello, good morning. Yeah, there's a question here. There's a number of questions here. No, number one na lang siguro simulan ko na. What is the proper approach if someone disregards the laws? So I don't know if paano niya siguro i-approach yung tao ba.
Ano yun,
Di ko
sir?
alam
What
eh.
is the...
What is the proper approach if someone disregards the laws? Yung mga batas, the laws.
It depends on who is the injured person. No? If you are the victim, you have every right to file a claim, no, or file a case against that person disregarding the law. But in general, if you are not, I'm not saying all of time, all of the at all moments, but in general, if you are not the one who is the victim, I don't think you have the personality to file. But then again, you can report. You can report, no? You can report to the heads in our workplace. You can report it to the heads. But then again, if you're not the injured person, it may be noted, and there might be a motu proprio, or on its own action, the head will conduct investigation, no? But the victim's testimony or filing of the case is very, very important to proceed for the case.
Okay, so if you are someone who is aware of that and you are not the injured participant there or person, you can report.
Yes, you can report.
So pwede pa rin, no? So we are not passive bystanders.
But
Okay.
may I comment? Based on our general order General Order 1 or 2 on investigation of cases, it's really a requirement that the complainant must file the complaint or a complaint before we can proceed to. They can report, but without the consent, of course, of the victim,
Yes.
for us to investigate the case. So we really need the complaint of the victim.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Clem. Yes. Another question po. I will roll this into one. Medyo pareho lang. Medyo related naman. What if po kapag may nabastos din hindi pinaniwalaan since walang proof? May pwede pa po bang gawin? And yung isa kasi, do you need any sort of proof to sue someone if you feel offended or harassed? How does the process work? How will the law find the sue guilty or not?
Yes. Well, there are pieces of evidence, no, that the law requires. No, in a strict sense, mere allegation, meaning kapag sinabi mo lang without you backing up any pieces of documents to prove your cause, then mahina yung case mo. Okay? So in the courts, I'm not saying in administrative bodies, no, but this also applies to administrative bodies kasi hindi naman pwedeng sabi-sabi lang eh. You must have proof, no, documents, videos. If you don't have that primary sources, you can present secondary. And I'm talking about testimonies. All right? You don't have any documentation, pwedeng mga testigo. All right? And depending on how the committee will weigh on the testimonies, no? Well, of course, there will be resolution based on the testimonies if you don't have any document or proof. But it is really, really helpful if you have gathered pieces of evidence. Like screenshots. Ay, alam ko na ang WT. Alam ko na, may nag-private message sa akin, Director Clem. May tanong kasi ako kanina doon sa mga vloggers kung sino yung naglabas ng screenshots. Yun pala yung initials. Alright.
Si WT pala ito.
Yeah.
Alright.
Sir, ayun.
Yes, sir.
Ito related po naman sa mga LGBTQI, no? Pagsamahin ko na rin po yung question sa pre-registration sa kay question ngayon. Sa panahon po ngayon na tinatanggap na ng mga tao ang other genders like LGBTQI, dinidiscriminate pa rin po ba ito lalo na kapag nakikita nila ito at pinag-uusapan dahil hindi normal ang kasuotan at ang kanilang mga galaw? Yung isang question related din dito, does this gender-related laws protects also the LGBTQI?
Yes, of course. We have the SOGI bill. Siguro, let's take note of that, no? The Director Clem, Dr. Rhea, and Director Candelaria. Na next time SOGI bill naman tayo. Let's focus on SOGI bill also. But the answer is yes. We have SOGI bill that protects all the members, all classifications. And in fact, I have attended gender-related laws which focuses on the LGBTQ plus community. So I can tell you in some other lecture about the rights of the members of the LGBTQ. But yes, you are protected under the SOGI bill. And again, in this bawal bastos, you are also protected because men and women, of course, no? Kasama kayo doon. Okay? So if you feel that you're being sexually harassed, you can file under Safe Spaces Act and you can file under SOGI bill. Now, when it comes to clothing, I just would like to qualify on that because sometimes we want to express ourselves. In fact, I have so many friends who are members of the LGBTQ plus community, and I know that you want to express, but they are also being respectful on the policies implemented by the school, the workplace. No, if it's allowed in the workplace, why not? But if the policy is there before you even enter, no, for instance, in a school, sometimes I would like you to think that we have to follow, no, because for instance, as I would like to use as an example, lawyers, we have LGBTQ members in our profession, but since they are not allowed to dress as women, then they follow. All right. So, but they will not say it as an they will not comment, ay gusto ko mag-dress and like that, because they just know it. They just know that that is the policy. No, and they are following it. But then again, if it is allowed, then why not? No, because it's okay to really express yourself. That sometimes ito na naman. Tingnan din natin if hindi talaga kabastos-bastos or ano. Kasi hindi natin talaga mapipigilan kung ano iniisip ng ibang tao eh. But then again, I have no offense meant, but if you would like to dress up, then I will be very, very happy to see. Okay? I think in UAE it's allowed eh. Diba? Allowed yata, Director Clem? Allowed, diba?
Yeah. In a way, it is, for example, in Caloocan, we allow it because a lot of these students come to the office and really ask for it. But we really would like to tame it. Hindi naman yung ano, no, na
yes,
parang, yung kagaya ng sabi mo, kasi sometimes that will invite pagkabastos eh. So, ganon. So, for example, we really do not allow them to use skirts, but ano muna, yung slacks muna, and then maybe pwede yung blouse and slacks, and gano'n, no? Kasi you have to also the culture eh, you have to prepare also the community. Kasi baka mamaya magulat naman sila, mabigla sila. So, unti-unti natin, sabi ko sa kanila.
Yes, I understand. And we are in a workplace or in a school, diba? So you can wear it naman if you really, really want to wear it in other places, no? But we have to follow the policies. Next question.
And thank you po for a very heated discussion on that. Ito po, doon naman tayo sa other side of the pond, ika nga. In case of a misunderstanding po, what could possibly happen to the accused? So this is the question for the accused, no? What if the case progressed? Medyo mababa ito, ma'am. What if the case progressed too far when the damages have already been done to both victim and accused harasser, or alleged harasser, what could be done to avoid being wrongfully accused? What must be done to protect yourself if you are being accused wrongfully? And if you are actually the victim of the law being taken advantage of. So
Well-
paano kung wrongfully accused ako and ginagamit sa akin yung batas? Ganun yata.
Okay, so I have cases like that right now. No, he was wrongfully accused, and of course you have to prepare for your defenses. Okay, kasi if you are being accused and you are not the perpetrator, you have defenses. Okay, and then if that stage of the proceedings, you are able to protect yourself, no? Na hindi talaga ako yung nambasto sa'yo, ganyan. We have another law which prosecutes for those who filed cases against you because you harassed them. Okay? So, malicious prosecution, kasama yan. You just filed the case just to maliciously prosecute me, even though you know that I did not commit those acts. Alright? Pwede kang balikan. For instance, nananadya lang sila. Okay? Nag-concoct sila ng story, no? To pin you down as the perpetrator, the accused, the abuser. Okay? Pwede mo silang balikan later on. But if there is a case filed against you, prepare your concrete defense. Okay? Kasi remember, in cases like this, the burden of proof, meaning kung sino yung nag-aakusa, siya ang dapat magpapatunay. Okay? Basic yon ha. Kung ikaw ang nag-aakusa, ikaw dapat magpatunay. Kaya maghanda ka kapag ginawa mo lang ito dahil gusto mo lang, alam mo naman na hindi siya yung accused, pwede kang balikan in the future kasi may mga depensa yan kapag ikaw ang akusado. So, for me, at the outset, you have to prepare for the defenses. Bakit hindi ikaw ang gumawa niyan? O ano bang screenshots na napakita nila? O asan ka ng mga panahong yon? Bakit hindi ikaw? May mga testigo ka ba? O, those are the kinds of defenses that you will have to prepare. And then later on, if you are vindicated, hindi ako ang may sala, alright? Humanda yung nag-file ng case sa'yo. Alright? Yun, sir.
Thank you po, attorney. Refresh ko lang yung browser ko, baka mayroong bagong dumating. But I don't think there are new ones. Oh, wait. Can a victim immediately, sorry. Can a victim immediately take legal action by bringing the case to court when sexual harassment occurs inside the school? Or does the institution or school have any responsibility or liability? Kung diretso na ba siya kagad sa ano? Ba?
Yes.
Pero
yes,
sa school
yes.
yan, right?
The answer is yes, yes. But in the legal sense, we have this doctrine called administrative exhaustion. Meaning, you have to bring the issue first to the administrative body. Okay, but you can file. Okay, you can file before the courts. And the second question is yes, because again, we have the Committee on Decorum and the CODI, no? We have the Student Disciplinary Board, we have the Faculty Disciplinary Board who will adjudicate cases, no? Based on the violations on the committed, which is covered by the manuals or general orders. So pwede. You can bring action directly to the court, no problem. But ano bang importance ng administrative exhaustion? Kasi dito kasi nangyari eh. And ang maganda, pag dito mo pinresent, wala yung nitty-gritty na evidence must be original. Kasi pagdating na sa court, the strictness, the rigidity of presentation of evidence is higher. But when in administrative cases, the quantum of evidence na tinatawag namin, yung level ba, kumbaga level ng pagpepresenta sa evidence, mas madali sa administrative. And since dito nangyari, we can, the committee or the board can actually tap those colleges, the deans, the coordinators, those directly involved, no, na mas madali lang, no? And in fact, in the school, it is expeditious rather, or it is more faster with it sa court. You know naman, justice. Sadly, justice ang tagal. So it's better for you to lodge your complaint before the committee or the CODI or the disciplinary boards present or organized in our school. All right?
Ayan, thank you, attorney. There's a question in the chat box. I hope you're still amenable for questions, attorney. Do I need consents? And do I need consent sa mga screenshots na gagamitin for defense?
No need. As long as you are a member of the group chat, you don't need the consent of the others.
Oh, okay.
Kaya sinasabi ko sa inyo kanina, may mga tridor dyan.
Pero paano pag hindi po siya member and yun nga, may tridor na nag-leak? No?
Pag ganon, in administrative case, gaya na nga sinabi ko, mas malaki yung tsansa na pwedeng magamit. But kasi kung sa court siya diretso, we have this what we call hearsay evidence. Yung narinig mo lang, yung pinasa lang sa'yo, hindi yun ina-admit ng korte. But when you use it in the administrative setting, it can be given weight.
Okay. Meron pa pong sumunod. Kahit po ba outside school facility, sa school pa rin po ba magre-report?
Depende kung sino yung perpetrator.
Kapag personnel or kapwa-estudyante?
Yes, kasi nasa school eh. It will depend on the kind of conversation that they have muna, no? So depending on the situation, that will be subject for evaluation.
But
Kasi
you can
pwede
still
nga online eh. Kasi pwede nga online, di ba?
Sa
And in
safe public spaces.
Yes.
Okay. Ayan. Alright. So diretso police po ba?
Pwede yan. You know what? It's a thank you. Who's this? Bernardino. Laika. No, it's very good. That's a very good suggestion. You report it to the police. Blatter nyo sa police. Okay? That can be an important piece of evidence that you can use. No, because that is what would normal person would do to protect his or her right, to report it immediately to the police. There is a women's desk in every police station. Pwede mong gamitin yan. In fact, Sir Rob, pag nag-file ka sa CODI, I even have the incident reported before the police. Yan.
I have a very interesting question here as well.
Yes.
Good morning po. What's the safest approach po kapag nakakita ka ng stranger and she is beautiful or guwapo and you want to compliment them? Yung hindi po siya makakonsider na catcalling, lalo na hindi kami magkakilala. Like, I just want to make them smile po with my compliment. Thank you. So, medyo social skills pala. No? Parang I don't want to be misinterpreted.
Patay tayo dyan. Wala pa naman ako social skills. Makiramdam ka muna. That's the best approach. Makiramdam ka muna.
Nalala ko yung kanina. Pag pangit, manyakis ka agad.
Yes! Di ba pag pangit? So sad naman. Ang so sad naman, that's the reality. Di ba, sa mga social media, aminin nyo, sa social media, di ba, very common yan. The best approach is, of course, makiramdam muna kayo. Ano ba naman yung upo lang muna kayo sandali? Tapos makiramdam kayo kung how will she react to other persons saying the compliment, na? So, sometimes, eto din, another social skill. It is not what you said, but how you said it. Okay? Remember that. Hindi yun yung sa sinabi mo, pero kung papaano mo siya sinabi. So, just be respectful. Okay? Wag naman yung, ang ganda mo, tas naglalaway ka na pala dito. Alam mo yun, parang, okay, so, sabihin mo lang, okay, you are beautiful. Wala namang masama dun eh. Diba?
Yeah, ang ano lang talaga dun is...
Yes, pwede. The answer is yes. In legal, we call them, pag balalaki, John Doe. John Doe or Jane Doe, pag babae.
Jane Doe. Kaya di niyo po kilala yung perpetrator.
Yes. The requirement is, kung hindi niyo kilala, you should be able to identify him or her kapag nakita nyo siya. And you should and you should be able to identify based on what you know about that person. For instance, faculty siya ng ganito, staff siya ng ganito, 'di ba? Mga ganyan.
I think applicable yan lalo na if you have a really creepy stalker.
Yes.
So
Mm-mm.
yeah. Meron ding direct question here. Can a victim file for a case if the harassment happened nung bata pa siya, like 3 to 5 years old, tapos 18 na siya ngayon?
3 to 5, naalala pa niya?
Baka traumatic.
Yes, oh my gosh. Kaya nga sabi ko naalala pa.
Meron bang parang naglalaps na doon? Na parang, di ba parang sa ibang law may ganun, no? Parang, you can only complain for like 2 years after, parang doon lang viable yung complaint. May ganun ba dito sa
I will recheck on the implementing rules and regulations, but so far there is no prescription provided under the law. But since sasabihin ko na, since there are laws, for instance, which prescribes in 5, 10, or 20 years depending on the penalty. For example, yung mga murder natin. Okay? Pag 20 years hindi ka nag-file, wala na yon, prescribed na yon, hindi ka na pwedeng mag-file. But when it comes to Safe Spaces Act, I will check. I'll get back to you on that, on the implementing rules and regulations of if there will be a prescription, since the highest penalty will only be 6 months, if I'm not mistaken. Kasi sometimes in other laws, if the penalty of imprisonment is only 6 months, I think 2 to 3 months is the prescription period.
Ayun, prescription period. That's the word I was looking for.
Yes.
Ang context pala niya, attorney, is paano if the person 3 to 5 year old nga na nangyari was feeling helpless, no, during the time na bata pa siya. Tapos ngayon na empower na siya to step up. Kaya para tumagal yung panahon bago siya kapagsabi o nakapagsalita sa kanyang mga concern. Yung pala yung parang context. May continuation pala yung DM na yun. We have one more question.
Sir,
sir?
Meron po sa YouTube na nagtanong,
Ayan.
what if they were already judged to be guilty or already served the sentence or fined, even though it was later proven to be false charges or even malicious po? What can they get from the victim po daw? Sige, nasentensyahan na, tapos na-serve niya na yung sentence.
They should file case against malicious prosecution against the victims. Ang dating sa akin ng tanong niya is na judge guilty but later on napatunayan yung hindi pala siya.
Yes, ma'am.
Pwedeng mangyari.
False charges na po.
Oo.
Siguro nag-appeal po, ma'am.
Kapag kasi umapila pa, hindi pa yan magiging final. Okay? If, for instance, nasa first level court and guilty siya doon, and then nag-appeal siya, timely appeal, kasi right yan eh, you have the right to appeal to the higher court. If in-appeal mo yan sa higher court, hindi pa magpa-final yan. Wala pang kulong na mangyayari. Unless na-serve niya na bago siya nag-bail. Okay, so kapag naka-appeal pa yan, hindi pa yan final. And kapag sinabi, for instance, nag-appeal, di ba, sa Court of Appeals, nag-appeal siya doon, tapos nanalo siya. Tapos yung alleged victim naman, umapila sa pinakataas na Korte Suprema. O di ba? Hindi pa rin final yon. Okay, hintayin pa rin yung desisyon ng Supreme Court bago magiging final ang lahat. Now, may nangyayari ba na mayroon akong isa pero bihira, like sa Supreme Court na patunayan na siya ang may sala, but then later on yung victim parang umamin na hindi talaga siya. So what we did is we filed a case against that for damages.
Damages. Parang ang labas yata po kasi nito, parang yung question is paano if later on makakuha ng evidence that would suggest na hindi talaga
there are remedies.
Kumbaga natapos na yung unang case, na-serve na niya, tapos in light of new evidence, habulin niya yung...
Pwede. We have what we call annulment of judgment. Annulment of judgment based on newly discovered evidence, NDE. we have that. So pwede.
Kasi ang tanong niya, what can they get from the victim? Siguro yun. May damages ba yung
Damages.
hindi?
Damages. Monetary damages.
I think that answers the question. Sir John, do we have some more? Or
Sa tingin ko po sir, nasagot na po natin lahat. Wala na po sa YouTube.
wala na rin sa ating Google form? Yeah, I think it's high time to thank Attorney for answering our questions. Thank you po, Attorney.
You're welcome.
Wow, that's very interesting and very educational discussion. I was really listening to you guys and marami tayong natutunan. And I'm
Nakikinig ka?
sure marami natutunan yung mga bata, mga estudyante natin. Okay, so thank you Mr. Postrado and Mr. Parena. Thank you very much, Jeril. We really don't know how to thank you enough kasi you're really you're always available for us.
Of course, takot ko lang.
Thank you likewise to all the students who asked the questions. And now we shall award the certificate of appreciation to our resource speaker. May I just read the citation first? So the University of the East awards the certificate of appreciation to Attorney Jeril Rondes Layog for sharing her expertise as resource speaker in the orientation/webinar on gender-related laws on November 7, 2022 via Zoom. Signed, myself, Director Mercy Candelaria, and Director Maria Leonila Orea. Congratulations. Thank you very much,
Thank you so
Jerry.
much. Thank you so much, everyone. Sir, bago ako matapos, bago sila magsialisa, nagsialisa na pala
Okay.
ito. So I hope that I also inspire the students to become lawyers someday. No, so you may enroll in the UE College of Law. There are scholarships offered, no, for those who graduated with Latin honors, and for those who have no Latin honors, there are scholarships also waiting for you. So I hope that you will be able to think, and if you want really to, pursue your studies and become lawyers. And please pray for our barristers who will be taking the bar exams this coming November 9, 16, 13, 16, and 21. Thank you so much.
Yes, please help us pray for our barristers. Yeah, okay. Pray for our lawyer hopefuls. Yeah, and Attorney Jeril here is our product. As you can
Yes,
see.
I am a graduate of the UE College of Law.
Yes,
Homegrown.
Thank you.
Homegrown.
Thank you. Before we end the program, let me thank first some important people. Director Mercy Candelaria of the Students Affairs Office, Manila. Please say hi. Director Maria Leonila Orea of the Guidance.
Thank you.
There's Mercy. Of the Guidance, Counseling, and Career Service Office. Hi, Mercy.
Hi, hi, Jeriel.
Nila, please say hi also, Nila.
Hello.
Yeah, there is Director Orea. And of course, Professor Edelina Baldosa of the International Students Office.
Hi, thanks.
Okay. This is Joanna Rose Harina of the Students Affairs Office, Caloocan. Mr. Antonio Postrado and Mr. Jason Parena of the Guidance, Counseling, and Career Services Office,
Opo.
Caloocan. Thank you for all the help you extended to make this program successful. Let us share love, compassion, kindness, and understanding with one another. God bless us all. To formally close this program, let us all join in the singing of Pamantasan Ka Naming Mahal, the official hymn of the University of the East.
Pamantasan ka naming mahal, ilaw sa karimlan, buhay, lakas, dunong, dangal. Pamantasan ka ng bayan. sandigan ka ng lahi, pamantasan ng silangan, pamantasan ka naming mahal, pamantasan ka naming mahal, ilaw sa karimlan, buhay, lakas, tulong, dangal, pamantasan ka ng bayan. Ang pangalan mo ay walhati at sandigan ka ng lahi, pamantasan ng silangan, pamantasan ka naming mahal.
And that ends our program. Thank you. Goodbye and stay safe always.